Welcome to Transformation with Martine. Martine Emmons is a transformational life coach who broke free from childhood abuse, sexual trauma, and overcame cancer to become a powerful force of healing and hope for others. Martine describes traumatic events as fierce emotional tsunamis. They can leave impending doom and destructive tidal waves of emotions that hit you when you least expect it. Martine helps her clients dive into the depths of their trauma and pain as she stands fiercely advocating for them to shine a light on those experiences and find the lesson in the pain. She serves as a beacon of hope that guides you to see the strength, lessons, and purpose that can be born from the pain. You can feel alive with purpose again when you awaken your dormant strength, step into your power with a sense of peace, and discover a new wave of hope with the right tools and support. Martine and her guests are here shining their lights today through empowering stories of hardship and transformation to inspire you to find hope and to see that there is a beautiful blue ocean of serenity, happiness, and fulfillment in your future. Transformation with Martine starts now.
Welcome to Transformation with Martine, where we conquer everything and compromise nothing. This is my first show back. I'm so excited after a month-long sabbatical. Again, this is where we conquer everything and compromise nothing. I think we had a little bit of technical challenge there for a moment. For everyone who doesn't know, my show is about overcoming, and the guests that I invite on my show, I'll have a story of overcoming and hope. We firmly believe that there is nothing we can't get back up from. We as humans are resilient. Without further ado, I want to welcome my guest today. She already knows I'm going to botch her name, so hey. My guest today is Dominika Staniewicz. How'd I do, girl?
Beautiful. You did fantastic. Congratulations. You passed Polish pronunciation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. Please tell us a little bit about yourself. And what I mean by that is, how do you see yourself?
How do I see myself now, or how did I used to see myself? Because those are two different people.
Right. How you see yourself now. And then I would love to go into your story of how you became you.
Right now, I'm a feminine, beautiful, happy woman that has encoded happiness in her DNA, that is not waved and influenced by the outside circumstances, that enjoys the journey of life, enjoys feeling uncomfortable and learning from it and growing. And I am a coach, I am an HR manager, and I work with people like me who are also bilingual and have two different cultures that they have to merge, and those personalities usually don't match depending on the language you use. I'm a mom of two amazing young ladies, aged 22, twins, yes. And I am about to become an empty nester and very selfish. So this is who I am right now.
Very selfish. I don't know, is there such a thing anymore?
I think there is, and it's a good selfish. So self-care is very different than selfish, because you can take self-care when you have a lot of people you're taking care of, and you're, kind of caring for them, making food for them and making sure they're okay. Yet when you're all alone, there's really nobody but you to take care. So you literally zoom in on you and you just play around with pleasing yourself, and you go, okay, so what do I want to do now? There's nobody to consider. And that from the perspective of culture is being selfish, yet I am truly going to enjoy it until I learn what makes me even more happy than I am right now.
I love that. And I know this isn't our topic today, so I won't go too far into it, but what do you, I've always been so fascinated with culture, and I can't wait to get to Europe and explore. What do you mean, like, being multilingual and merging cultures? Like, what does that mean to you?
So it means to me, besides my experience and my knowledge and my education, that kind of promotes that. But it dawned on me a while back that when I speak in Polish, obviously I was raised in Poland and then I moved to US, and I use, although it's the same vocabulary in a different language, it has a different flavor and an emotional attachment to it. So what happens is when we use a different language, we attach different meanings and different situations because we were young. And we did not have the background as we, learn another language as adults. So what happens is you have different meanings and emotions attached to the events and to the words. And let's say I want to say something good about myself in Polish, literally it barely goes through my neck. I have so much resistance in me to say anything good about me in Polish because culturally it is not acceptable, and I have different framework for that language. Now, if I do the same thing in English, I learned the language when I was growing up and I did all my trainings in English and growth mindset and everything else. So with that being said, I acquired different situations from a different perspective, and the same words have different flavor to them. I have no problem with saying I'm amazing, I'm beautiful, I'm feminine. In Polish, I literally have to concentrate. And now what I'm doing with myself and my clients, I'm merging those two experiences. And I have to do that in Polish for it to work and merge, because in English, we're good. I literally have like a lot of bilingual people and bicultural people.
Yeah.
I have two personalities. It's fascinating. I was trying to write a resume in Polish where you say about your, you talk about your successes, and it just, my hand would not move, literally. In English,
Wow.
I was like this. So what I started doing, I did it in English, translate it into Polish. But if I switch the thinking, the language is attached to your emotions, and in different experiences, you're younger, right? So they're very different. They're your old self. And very often we don't upgrade that with our growth. And it's fascinating because most people miss that. And I spoke to a lot of bilingual and bicultural people, and it turns out it's not only me. That's why I do focus on it, and I add that into my coaching.
That's really that. Yeah. That I can really get that part, especially about the how you grow and just almost getting like stuck, like if you're having to go back like to Polish and being able to write something, and you're not that person anymore. So it's interesting because this is just short here. I go by Martine. I was raised for the first couple of years as Martine, and then my parents shortened my name to Martine.
Okay.
Because they thought it would just be easier for people to understand, wouldn't make fun of me or whatever. But a lot of abuse happened in my life. And when I was at a training, my mentor coach said, "Would you like to be called Martine?" And that sounded, powerful. That's my given name, only used for a few years, but Martine was more for the, I don't know, little abused me. Whereas now it's like, Martine, that's me, that's powerful. That was my given, chosen name.
Exactly.
Yes. Wow, that's really powerful.
Yeah. I'm happy to be of service if anybody just got a light bulb going, oh my God, that's fantastic. There are ways to merge that.
Absolutely. So let's start off with that. Where can people reach you?
Well, they can reach me on Facebook with my first and last name, Dominika Staniewicz. They can reach me on Facebook as Your Brain Coach D. They can reach me on LinkedIn. They can find me on Instagram as the Your Brain Coach D, or Domi Powerhouse. That's my private one. So you basically, and Your Brain Coach D at gmail.com. Those are the ways you can find me. There is a website being built, but it's not my priority because I believe, I don't know, websites are not my thing. It will be built, but that's not what we're talking about. I think we are here to help people and, kind of inspire them to look at the different perspective. And you did ask me about my past and where I came from.
Yes.
So I was a girl raised by a loving mother that had a certain way of being, which did not make me feel loved. She would come from concerts because she was a performer, and I would stand there with my teddy bear going, "Mom, Mom, Mom, please hug me. I'm waiting for you." And she'd be like, "Oh, I'm tired, go away." And it wasn't that she didn't love me. I know that from the time, but that sunk in. So the need for affection became my primary driver. I started seeking out as a teenager, not the best partners, let's just say. Then I had an episode with a man who I had a child with. While I was giving birth to that child, I died. And then 16 months later, my son died. He abused me horrifically with the gun to my head, being raped, choked, broken hand, whatever you can imagine that happened to me. And then I became so strong after I got over the depression of the child loss. And I decided to be so strong, and I can do it. I'll prove the world. I became so masculine that Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone could learn from me.
Mhm.
It was just all power and all decisiveness, but not from the right place. And yes, I was extremely successful. I was recognized. I was working with the European Union presidents and prime ministers and with the Polish government. And I was on TV, and I was just, who wasn't I? And I would come home and cry. I was miserable. And it kept happening over and over. And there was one day when I was about 36, after I parted with another partner who half a year later, after leaving me, got married. So obviously, there were two of us at that time. And I said, okay, stop. You are a sociologist. You got a master's in sociology. You love patterns. You keep going through the same pattern in different situations over and over. You keep changing things, but nothing is changing. Maybe it's not the world. Maybe it's you. And that was the beginning of my now 12-year journey.
It's powerful how those moments happen, isn't it?
I think most of us don't realize that we very often use strategies that used to work for us. And that's very important to know, that when we're kids and when we're young, some things absolutely are phenomenal strategies. They work. When you're a kid, you hide under a blanket, nobody sees you, you feel safe. Yet if you use that strategy when you're 30, 40, it's not going to work. And very often we forget that we didn't upgrade our programming. We didn't upgrade our brain. We didn't upgrade our strategies. And I think that is very, very important. And when you have that aha moment, then the work comes.
Yeah.
Yet it's so rewarding, guys. It is so rewarding.
I
would not change. I would not go back. I am grateful for all of my past because it got me where I am. I absolutely love every second of my life, even when it's hard.
Right. That's the thing. If we can embrace that and know that it's a season, we're not going to be here forever.
Absolutely.
We are meant to learn something.
Absolutely. And when we're in the middle of hell, don't stop walking. Keep walking.
Right.
Then hell has a border, right?
It does. It does. And it may not feel like it when you're in it.
Nope. It will not.
But if we can keep that in mind as we're walking through those hot places, then we will get there. And
Absolutely.
The rewards on the other side.
Absolutely. And those rewards are amazing if you choose to learn from them. Because if you take a roundabout and you come back to the same place where you were, then what was really the point of walking through that hell? What did you learn from it? Did you stop and say, are you still blaming the world? Or maybe you're going, what can I do different this time that maybe I don't get into that door again?
Exactly. That's perfect. That's perfect. So we are going to take a break, and we'll be back to talk more about transformation, walking through the fire and coming out on the other side, and tips of keep walking and to get the lessons, and so much more good stuff coming up. We'll be right back, everyone. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone, to Transformation with Martine, where we conquer everything and compromise nothing. And let's see if I can get it right in the first take here. My guest today is Dominika Staniewicz. How'd I do?
Oh, yes, you nailed it, girl. You absolutely
all right. This is awesome. So in our last segment, for those of you just happen to be tuning in, we were talking about continuing to walk through the fire when the coals are getting hot, and you're in a season of just a lot of turmoil, adversity, grief, loss, whatever it is that you're going through right now or going through in that time, that if you just keep going, you will get to the other side. Nothing lasts forever. It's a season. So Dominika, at our break, we were talking a little bit, and I know that you do have tips and tricks for, daily life, anxiety, anything that comes up, or just, you're just in a season of whatever it might be, of a loss maybe, or whatever. How do you get through it? What do you teach your clients?
Right. So first of all, I truly believe that all of us actually, no matter where we are, we strive to be happy.
Yeah.
And the challenge starts if our happiness is dependent on outside circumstances. Then we actually have no control over it. And we put the demand of making us happy on the outside world or people that are around us. That is unsustainable. The only thing we can control is our emotions, if we learn how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very important. And how we perceive things, because it's our choice what emotions we attach to events. Nothing else is controllable. Everything else is however it is. And I love giving value. So if you are, for example, experiencing anxiety or high level of stress, I would love to invite you to try this exercise with me. But before we go into that, we're going to do another one. Now, I would like to mention, please, if you're driving, do not do this exercise. If you're in a dangerous place, please do not do this exercise, because it requires you to take a deep breath, close your eyes, so you can experience what I'm talking about. So then the anxiety, for example, exercise we're going to do next is going to work for you. So if you're in a dangerous place, driving, doing something, you're busy cooking, please don't do it. You can do it later on, re-listen and practice with us. So first thing I would like to invite everybody to do is to close your eyes. If you could do that for me. Great. Now I would love for you to imagine your favorite food, whatever that is. Is it meat? Is it cookies? Is it chocolate? Is it maybe a fudge or cheesecake? Whatever that is. Now I want you to smell that. Smell, and it's going in. You feel your mouth salivating. Now take a big or a small bite, however you like it. You feel the texture on your tongue. You feel your taste buds getting aroused and happy. You feel the crunching when you're biting. Or maybe you feel the smoothness and it spills all over your mouth. You can still smell it and taste it, and your mouth is full of flavor. It reminds you of the best experiences. Maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your dad, or maybe it's the smell of a kitchen when you're coming home. Now, swallow that. That feels so amazing. Open your eyes. Now, the question is, did you start salivating?
Yeah.
So what we just did, we tricked your brain. We had your brain believe you're actually eating something. And it produced all the hormones and salivation and everything else that you needed to do for you to digest the food. Yet there's no food. Obviously, the exercise goes much longer when we're doing it in a session. I wanted to give you a taste because that proves that we can trick our brain, and whatever you think or feel, you can reframe that and change. And the same thing with anxiety. So the same principle we did with food, we can do the same exercise for anxiety. Now, it has been proven that, obviously, we already proven to you that when you're imagining things, your brain thinks it's real. So one of the neuroscientists have proven that certain situations, we can influence our body to change, let's say, our hand temperature. We can change the way we feel by the things we imagine. So an exercise to reduce anxiety in the moment is very simple. There are a few things that for most humans, and it doesn't have to be you, you might have something different, create feeling of comfort and calmness. So physically, what happens when you get stressed, your blood starts constricting, your veins constrict, and your hands and feet get cold. because everything goes down to the fight or flight syndrome, and your body is creating the energy in one place so you can run, for example, if you're being chased by a lion or something else. Lately, we're not being chased by lions, but our thoughts and our emotions. So when we get into an anxiety state, this is what happens in your body. We can use our brain to change that feeling of cold hands. And what we do, we imagine putting our hands into the warm sand. When you're touching the warm sand and it goes through your fingers and it warms your hands. Another one is imagining touching a warm puppy that is there with its soft fur and it's breathing calmly right next to you. Same with a cat.
Yeah.
You can also imagine putting your hands under a warm water. If you are close to a warm water, you don't have to imagine.
Right.
You can actually put your hands in a bowl of warm water. That physically will trigger anxiety reduction because warm widens your veins and allows the blood flow. And that changes the way your brain responds. So one of the beautiful things about life and the way my group of, the knowledge I have and how I coach is that there's one principle that you can always use. And it's true for whatever you do. What you think is what you feel. What you feel is what you do. What you do is what you have. Now, if it goes one way, it can be also reversed. So to change how we think, we have something, we change what we have, then we change what we do. So we put our hands, for example, in warm water, or imagine we're doing that.
Yeah.
That changes how we feel, that changes how we think. Now, of course, this takes practice. It's not something you're going to get at first time.
Right.
Yet it is extremely helpful for most people. Another phenomenal practice, and it comes from the study that was done in Norway. People have, the scientists in Norway have taken groups of people, 500 people on Prozac, which, as we know, helps people with depression. 500 people with that went through and did exercises in a forest in a specific way. I'm going to tell you what exercises, and 500 that were placebo effect. After half a year, the people placebo, meaning they were getting vitamin C, they were not getting any medication. So after about half a year, people on Prozac and people on the exercises in the forest had the same results, more or less. But after a year, people who did the forest exercises were 80% out of the woods from depression, comparing to the same level of results on Prozac. Now, I want to mention, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, and I'm not a psychologist. The knowledge I have is a knowledge that comes from science and science research, and my coaches, Dr. Amen, who trained me, Dr. Joseph McElden III, and those are my mentors. But it's very important to recognize that although we have medicine that's progressing, there are other things that can help us. And it was great to try them. Now, don't get me wrong, modern medicine is great. If it wasn't, in 1400s, we would live 90 years like we live now. We didn't. We would die at 30, 40. So obviously, there is a great value in modern medicine. Yet there is also value in going back to certain basics. What was the exercise? They were prescribed by doctors to go to a forest and breathe in a way, 4, 6, 8. Breathe in on 4, hold it for 6, let it out on 8. It was important that they were in a forest surrounded by green. You don't have to be bare feet or anything. And you just walk for 20 minutes doing that exercise. What happens is you, if you ever read, there is an institute called Heart Math Institute. And there is actually a second brain in your heart. You get to control your brain with your heart and with your breathing. It changes your brain waves. And that is one of the bases for breathing. And also, although people didn't know that long time ago, Buddhism and meditation has invented breathing exercises long before we know why it works.
Right.
So taking that into account, those are basic strategies that you can do on a daily basis to help yourself, to get yourself out of a state that might not be serving you. And don't get me wrong, again, stress is a great thing if it's not prolonged. Because
Right.
without stress, you would not feel anxious, and anxiety brings out the ability to make difficult decisions. So anxiety is not bad in its own. When it's prolonged and it's prohibiting you from living your full life, that's when we need to address it. So there's so many beautiful ways you guys can try and see if it works for you. There are other methods that we could talk forever on, and I'm sure you have your own, but those are the three that I think are great to share because they're almost a quick fix. I wouldn't say they work immediately, but with practice, for example, I had a teenager, she goes, I don't get puppies. I don't do, walking in the sand. I hate the sand. I love my hoodie. That makes me feel safe. I'm like, fantastic. Imagine you got a hoodie on. Imagine it's warm, it's covering your face, and we did the whole process.
Right.
Whatever
Right.
works for you.
Yeah, that's perfect because we are all, I was talking to my daughter this morning, we are all so different,
Yes.
and it's beautiful. Yeah. Just this, and on that, all being different, but I'd say breath for all of us works. I mean, I think sometimes we're just going about our day and anxiety hits, or we're stressed out, or we're overwhelmed, or everything. We just forget to breathe. We're just doing just the normal little shallow breaths for life. But those deep breaths, that's what's okay. If I just take a breath, I just step back for a minute. Now I'm okay. And I can get going again. It's just remembering that.
Absolutely. There's another one that's sleep that's super important and shows in all the studies. And there's another one that's super important, which I absolutely love. It's the power pose of a Wonder Woman.
Oh, yes.
Yes. It works. It absolutely works. It changes your physical state because as you think, so you feel, as you feel, so you do, as you do, so you have. And this is what you do to change your mental state. And we can talk about that maybe later. If anybody has never heard about power pose, if you watch Grey's Anatomy, one of the lead characters use that before
exactly what I was gonna say. Exactly. And when we get back, I got it. This is kind of funny, but this is what came in my head the other morning. I'll share that when we get back. Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and we'll be back in just a couple. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone, to Transformation with Martine. This is where we conquer everything and compromise nothing. My guest today is Dominika Staniewicz. Yeah, Dominika is back, man. She's in the house.
She is.
So, if you're just joining us, we've been talking about all kinds of tips, tricks, ways to reduce anxiety, ways to get through situations, hard times, seasons of life. And we ended last segment talking about the power pose. And and Dominika mentioned how, Grey's Anatomy, there's one doctor, I can't remember which one that was, that always...
Shepherd.
Amelia.
Yes, Amelia does
Amelia Shepherd. Okay, yes, she always did the power pose before surgeries, and I was just saying before we went out that it was really funny how this happened. Our beautiful brains do these things, to help us, and sometimes it's protecting us. Our brain is protecting us, but sometimes it's just giving us like a little boost. But I was just a bit stressed, and I was out on my walk in the morning, and a lot of stressful things were coming through my mind, and a situation that I didn't quite want to deal with. And then I just saw this vision of me and my little girl holding hands, dressed like Wonder Woman.
Aww.
That's what popped in my head, and I'm like, oh, I like this. This is way cool. And that's not actually anything that I've ever, I don't know, made up or anything yet, but it was just something that came in. I'm like, all right, I got this. And it's amazing what our brains will do if we open up, if we listen, because our beautiful vessels here and our brains, our whole being is trying to help us every single day if we just take that time to listen.
And we got to remember, I mean, I always encourage people to remember we don't have to, but I do encourage people that we are a whole. It's not that you have emotions separate from your brain and separate from your body and separate from the
Right.
environment. We are a whole being consisting of all of those things, and they all influence each other.
Yeah.
I mean, the truth is that, let's say you're dancing, right?
Mhm.
I want you to think, have you ever seen a miserable person who's dancing?
No.
No. And the funny thing is that we're programmed to change our mental state by dancing. You literally
Mhm.
can do that. You can
Yeah.
change how you feel by the fact that you put on the music and you make yourself dance. There was
Mhm.
this phase of laughter yoga. And the yoga was basically just a word in that event, because what they did, they would force themselves to laugh. And at one point, the laughter became natural
Yeah.
from forced. And it changes your state. The way you release hormones, the way you release chemicals into your body changes.
Mhm.
If you give somebody high five, there's no way you can be in a bad state giving yourself or somebody else high five. We automatically smile and we raise our energy. And it's
Yeah.
not that there's some magic. It's just we literally repeated this in a certain situation so many times that our brain has a certain association that you can use to your advantage.
Mhm.
It's there. It's your tool. We all have it, like dancing, like singing. There is another phenomenal practice if you want to be creative. You got
Mhm.
to turn off your frontal lobes. There's no way when you're analytical, you can be creative. And
For
I
sure.
just learned from Dr. Amen. It was a phenomenal lesson that we took because I'm one of his trainers.
Mhm.
That when we why do we, when we say you write, you invite, it turns out that when you do creative work on a computer, you're using the part of your brain that's analytical. That's why you need to take a pen and paper to become creative.
Good point. Ooh, I hadn't heard that. And that makes so much sense. People are always like, just journal or do whatever on your computer. I'm like, that doesn't work.
It doesn't,
It does not work.
because you're using your logical
Yeah.
side, not your
Yeah.
creative side.
Mm.
Notice that when you get creative, and that's for you and everybody else, where do we get creative? On walks,
Yep.
in a car,
For
and in
sure.
a shower.
Mm-hmm.
That's where ideas pop into our head.
Yep. Yep.
We're not magical. It is the moment we turn off our logical thinking.
Yeah.
And logical is great. It saved my life a few times being logical,
Yeah.
going,
Sure.
okay, that doesn't make any sense. Better not go into this, right?
Yeah.
When I want to be creative, I definitely literally take another shower, go for a walk in a park,
Mhm.
take a drive, start singing, and let my thoughts flow. And it's
Mhm.
called a flow state when your basal ganglia switches and it
Mhm.
goes into a different mode in your brain. And these are very technical things, yet I love science. And
Yeah.
I believe that science supports what we do. And I love using that as an element, because one of the things I was always looking for when I had my coaches in the past, I was like, okay, so how do you know? How do you know this works?
Mhm.
Now, experience is one thing, yet having that, science of sleep, right? We
Mhm.
were talking during the break how sleep is important. If
Mm,
you
for
research
sure.
on the internet, there's a sleep study done on thousands, I believe 2,000 of soldiers. And I'm not going to quote the percentages right, but the idea of the study was that your decision making drops with lack of sleep. And the culture we had that, oh, I'm going to sleep 4 hours, I'm going to be successful. You are not. With
Mhm.
all due respect to Elon Musk, who's not my favorite, yet I
Yeah.
respect all his achievements. He did
Yeah.
amazing things. Even he started sleeping more because he said over a long period of time, this is not sustainable.
Right.
Our brain needs sleep. And they
Mhm.
did that study on soldiers. What happened is that they became less effective and they could not meet the target. When they slept 4 hours or less, their accuracy of shooting was at 15%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when they slept 8 hours or more, it was at 98.
Mhm.
Would you like somebody to lead your life, make decisions of the company and your life if they sleep 4 hours? Because I heck would not.
Yeah. Yeah. It's totally true. You just think about how well, for me, I'll just say me. If I don't get much sleep, I've got the dropsies. I'm making more mistakes in my work. Like I said, I'm dropping things as I'm doing things. I'm getting very frustrated with myself because I'm doing all those things, which is just bringing on more stress and everything else. And I think also that if you go for prolonged periods of time of not sleeping, it's hard to get into a rhythm again.
That is very true. And
Mhm.
also another thing that we absolutely promote is, it's kind of weird because we say, oh, drink water is good for you. Well,
Mhm.
your brain is 80% water.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
notice when you go and get dehydrated and let's go to an extreme example, you go to Sahara Desert,
Mhm.
the phenomenon of Fata Morgana, which is the visual distortion and you see water and oasis
Oh,
that's
yes.
not there. That is because of your brain dehydrating.
Mhm.
So if you don't drink enough, your perception of reality will be different than if you're hydrated.
Right.
Simple thing, right? So
Mhm.
there's so many things as coaches, give you tips and tricks, use them to make your life better, whatever works for you. And,
Mhm.
there are some general truths like water, that there's it's hard to function without water. And as
Mhm.
we know, we die without water.
Right.
And going through hard times is acknowledging your little successes. And I really
Mhm.
encourage
Absolutely.
everybody to be happy because you got up. Congratulations, I got up. I made
Mhm.
myself breakfast. Congratulations,
Yep.
I ate, although I didn't feel like eating.
Mhm.
Congratulations, I've smiled. Celebrate that. And I know it will be
Mhm.
uncomfortable at the beginning,
Mhm.
most likely,
Mhm.
and it's not natural to celebrate little things. Yet it
Mhm.
is crucial that you reteach your brain, because what happens is we search for things that make us feel good. We search
Yeah.
for happiness.
Yeah.
So if those little things will start making us feel good and we will teach our body and our brain to recognize that, we will start doing it more often with pleasure. Kids don't go to
Mhm.
school because they love school. They go to school, well, some of them do, but most kids go to school because they have friends and they enjoy their time with friends. And
Right.
they're excelling at subjects that they're good at. They're not
Mhm.
excelling at subjects that they're not really good at. And
Yeah.
usually, if you ask them, what are you good at? They say, because I like it. It's
Yeah.
interesting, right?
For sure.
And it's a cue for you. What do you like? What
Mhm.
makes you happy from the little daily thing?
Yeah.
I have my little ritual with coffee. I buy myself an expensive coffee.
Yeah.
I stop going to Starbucks and everywhere else, and I have one coffee a day. And it's my beautiful ritual
Mhm.
where I have my favorite coffee, 2 spoons, and that coffee lasts me forever. And, it's pressed and it smells and it has a certain taste. And it
Mhm.
just makes me feel in a cup that says you woke up sexy again.
I love it.
And those things make me feel happy. And what I do, I go to a
Uh,
mirror with that cup of coffee, with that smell, with that cup, and look at myself, take a drink, say, hey, Dominika, I love you.
I love that. That's perfect. That is perfect. And those rituals are everything, aren't they? It's like we all, I think, crave adventure and doing things, but those little rituals and routines really keep us balanced and happy.
Absolutely. They're
Hmm.
crucial to
Yeah.
us growing.
Hmm.
And we can rebuild ourselves from wherever we are 2 millimeters at a time, not
Hmm.
necessarily burning your boats.
Yeah. I agree with that. These little wins. When I dropped my son off at the airport yesterday, I was heartbroken. It was it's always hard to drop him off, even if I see him every other month or whatever. It's still a hard thing. Realities of divorce are not pretty. Um, but I was just like, oh, let myself feel everything. But then also thinking, well, I have him. I got the privilege of having him. He loves his mama. That makes me happy. I love him. I am so blessed to have 2 girls. I have kids. So it's like I'm shifting that. Like, yeah, I'm gonna miss him. And this is hard. But I got kids. I'm blessed with them. We can shift that thinking.
And you know what? You can think this is hard, or you can automatically go, it's going to be exciting to see him in 2 months,
Yeah,
learn
for
what he's
sure.
doing.
For sure.
And
For
it's
sure.
important to use the right words when we're uncomfortable.
Absolutely. I know at least my training and what I do with my clients too is
Right.
feel that. You need to feel it, but you can also, okay, let's start looking at the good here now too, put them both in there, honoring our bodies for the
That is
feelings
super
within.
important. Do not
Yeah.
ever dismiss any of your
Mhm.
feelings. You
Yeah.
got to live through them for them to support you. If you shove them
Absolutely.
down, they will bottle up and blow up in your face one day when you're the least expecting it.
Oh, yeah, I could tell a story of that, but we have a break to get to. Thank you for listening, everyone. We'll be back with Dominika's final thoughts and tips and whatever else we come up with in the next segment. We'll be back soon. Thank you. Girl, you didn't dance this time.
I did. I
Welcome.
can do it now. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There
Oh,
you
yeah.
go. Right on, rocket. Welcome back, everyone, to Transformation with Martine. This is where we conquer everything and compromise nothing. My guest today is Dominika Staniewicz.
Yes. Yes.
All right. We're right. We get there. We do get there. Yeah.
Okay.
So, so we've been talking about everything transformation that you can think of. It's been a wonderful show. If you're just tuning in, please watch the whole show. It's been amazing. So Dominika, what would you like to leave our audience with? And I know you start out your story with a very powerful story about losing your son at 16 months. How did you do that?
I didn't. That's the thing. It just happened. And
Yeah.
so he was a product of an extremely abusive relationship. I was 18 when I met that gentleman. My parents just sent me back to Poland. I was in college and I believe that he was extremely manipulative. I believe everything, including the sun shining, and raining was my fault. Basically, breathing was my fault. I remember him keeping me and having me read out loud, saying I'm not educated enough. And he wants to hear me read books. And he would have me do that for 4 or 5 hours. I remember him grabbing me by the hair, throwing me on the floor, saying, "Hey, clean bitch." And he would give me a little tiny white wipe, and I would clean up the sides. I had my son when I was 19, and I was terrified. And I knew that I'm just so scared. I ran away with my son. I got police protection for a while. And then one day I was in a shower in a bathtub, and I had a feeling that there's something wrong. I'm like, nah, you're absolutely wrong. My intuition kicked in. I should have listened, but I didn't. And the should have is something that I got rid of. And I'm using the word should have because there's nothing we should. We do the best we can with the knowledge we have at the given time.
Yes.
And that is so important to remember. You never should anything. You did the best you could with the knowledge you had at the given time.
Yes.
And then I went to make him soup. And when I came into the room, he was already dead. I started CPR, and then the paramedics came and they took him to another room. And the only thing I heard was a defibrillator going beep. And I don't remember much after that. Police came asking me if I didn't kill him. Thank God there were people around protecting me. There was a police officer who was my friend living with his wife next door. He goes, "There's no way she did anything to that child." And then 2 years happened that I don't remember anything. I remember extreme pain. I remember extreme pain, basically, and darkness. And again, later on, my therapy was going to people saying, "Hi, my name is Dominika. My son just died." And people didn't know what to do with it. They would run away. And I'm not surprised because it's hard to deal with somebody's grief, especially when they lose a child. Yet that was my therapy. I needed to get it out at one point when I started talking to people. Then I fell in love with my husband, yet I fell in love for the wrong reasons. He was good. He didn't hurt me. He didn't beat me up. He wasn't raping me. He didn't put a gun to my head. And I thought that was enough. And he was a father of my 2 grown daughters. But that wasn't. Love is way more than just being okay.
Right.
So I divorced him with 2 little kids. And then I worked 3 jobs, 4 jobs, becoming successful, powerful, going through experiences that no woman should, hearing from men age 50, hey, little girl, I see you have a contract. So what? Would you like to have dinner and breakfast? And then we can sign the documents?
Huh.
Straight out. Nobody cared. The Me Too movement did not exist then. And it was a common thing to have conversations like this with managers when you were young. It was just a straight out thing. So I got smart. I hired a business partner who was a man, and I had him go and do those conversations because I was young. I didn't know how to handle it. And I did not want to do what I was asked to do, yet I wanted that contract. So I found a way around it. Yet I lived in the men's world. And you know, when people tell you you're brave, you're so amazing. The only bravery I saw was a male bravery. I didn't know how to be brave as a woman, and I didn't want to be brave because that was so masculine, yet I didn't know any other way. So I would come home, raise my kids and cry and work those 3 jobs, later on 2 jobs, teach at universities, travel, and speak at conventions. I did great, but I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable. And all those men that hurt me, I realize now after 11 years, when I realize, okay, there's something wrong with me if I'm keep attracting the same events over and over, just in different wrapping paper.
Right.
I am so grateful all of them came to my life. I'm so grateful for my abuser. I'm so grateful that my son taught me how to love. I'm so grateful for all those men that were not ethically okay towards me, yet they pushed me to become who I am. All of those experiences are part of my life, part of my book. Because every person that comes into our life is either a word, a phrase, a sentence, a paragraph, or a chapter. And without them, we cannot move on to the next chapter. They're necessary. So I'm grateful for all of them, truly grateful. I have no pain, no resistance, no anger. I accepted and felt the past. Now, was it easy? Heck no.
No.
Was it facing me and all the mistakes I'm making and my belief systems that were bringing on my life? Yep. Did I like it? Nope. But I knew that I definitely do not want what happened in the past to keep repeating. So I just want to leave you with the message that wherever you are, you did the best you could with the knowledge you have.
Right.
It's not simple, yet it's doable to be happy, joyful, and really thriving in life with what you have, being grateful for the past and the present. I hope that brings some hope to you.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a tragic story. And at the same time, I know what you are saying. I know what you're saying. There is what I call in my world, and a book that I'm writing comes out next month, by the way, sandpaper wrap gifts. That's what those are. Sandpaper wrap gifts. And they're so hard to go through, but we do, and we can thrive on the other side. Anybody out there, you can thrive on the other side, no matter what's going on in your life or what has gone on in your life. You can change it.
You got to choose it.
You got to choose
being
it.
Happy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dominika. You've been wonderful. This has been a fabulous show. And I thank you so much for your wisdom coming on here and sharing with everybody.
It's been an honor serving you guys.
All right. One more time before we get out of here, where can they reach you? Real quick.
yourbraincoachd@gmail.com. That's going to be the simplest one, or find me on Facebook or Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. And we will see you next week, every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And reach out if you have an amazing story too. Maybe you'll be on the show as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Transformation with Martine. Did listening today spark a sense of hope and possibility? Hold on to this feeling and tune in every second and fourth Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific for more inspiring conversations with Martine and her guests. They will show you there is hope, and you are right where you need to be. Martine is dedicated to supporting you right where you are while launching you towards promise, passion, and possibility that leads to the fulfilled life your heart aches for. If you're tired of being stuck, schedule a complimentary consultation with Martine and get on the exciting path towards the life you want to be living. Visit martineemmons.com and make your appointment today.